Hello everyone, welcome to another video on little bit of everything. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I set up my journal for April 2025. Spring is usually seen as a beginning around the world in a lot of cultures, and especially in South India, a lot of states celebrate their new year during this time. It's Ugadi in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Karnataka, Puthandu in Tamil Nadu, and of course Vishu in Kerala. That's why I wanted to pick a quote that would be appropriate for this season. And I always like to start the month with a quote, and I write it next to the name of the month, and I make that my cover page. So for my cover page here, I'm just drawing flowers at random to fill the page, keeping some space to write in the middle. I love cherry blossoms. I've always admired how delicate and elegant they are. I remember this one time, me and my sister got like this random dried up branch and made cherry blossom flowers with pink paper and stuck those flowers on the dry branch, and we put it up in our house. Many years later, I did the same thing with my partner when we were living in our first little apartment while we were still studying at the university, and I think those are both really great memories. I also wanted to add a touch of color to this page, so I filled the background with this pastel blue. I'm using my Tombow brush markers to color in the flowers and the background, and that's the cover page done. I love how the pink and the blue complement each other, and the black stems I think add a bit of depth to it all. Overall, I'm very satisfied with this page. And now moving on to the next spread, which is my monthly calendar. I like to make a note of important dates, events, etc. in my monthly calendar so I can have it all in one place, and it gives me the opportunity to plan things out more cohesively because I can take a look at what's happening when, and if I have to add anything more to the month or that week, I can always put it in the calendar right there. I wanted to keep the theme the same, but I also wanted to change the color palette a little bit, so I picked green. I think the green makes this spread look more lively and it feels like a spring garden. And that's my monthly calendar done. The next spread is my action plan page, where I like to make a note of my goals for the month. And rather than just stating the goals, I like to break them down into smaller actions I can take to achieve those goals. Since this is a page that needs more space to write and sort of do mind mapping like activities, I like to keep the design to the minimum to give me enough space to do that. So for this page, I did white blossoms and used a bright green for the background, and I think it's making the flowers pop nicely on the page. I really wasn't sure this color would work, but seeing it now, I'm glad I took that risk. I'm moving on to the next category of spreads, which are the weekly spreads, or as some like to call it, the daily spread. For this particular page, I'm making it for 10 days rather than a week, and I've sort of divided this page into 3 parts with spaces on the top for the daily boxes and on the bottom as well, and in the middle I'm making this design. I thought of going with white blossoms for this page as well because they looked really nice on the previous one, but of course I'm changing the background color, and I felt like taking a warmer color for this page, so I use peach, and I'm using my Tombow marker again for coloring. I will include a list of all the materials I have used for this particular video, and you can check it out if you feel like using them as well. And this kind of layout is good if you don't want to add too many things on your daily list. And I find that keeping the daily spaces compact helps me to prioritize and make a note of things that need immediate action rather than just listing everything out and feel like not being able to do anything. Moving on to the next spread, another weekly, but this layout is slightly different than the previous one, and I have made spaces for 6 boxes with in the middle vertically, and on the sides I am going to make a design. I think you can use these 6 spaces for a week, or you can just use it for like the weekdays where you use 5 spaces for the days of the week. 6 extra box can be to make a note of miscellaneous things or anything else that you might like to add, or some doodles or whatever else you like. I think this is a great layout to use for your weeklies, just for the weekdays, so that you mindfully keep your weekends free to sort of unwind and relax. So I'm not adding any color to the background here because I feel that even on the white background, the pink blossoms look just as colorful and cheery as they do on the ones with the color background, and the pink on the white makes it stand out despite its simplicity. For the next spread, I'm using a different layout for my weekly. I'm adding some design to the top and bottom of the page, and I'm going to use the middle part to divide up into different days. For this page, I picked a pastel teal kind of color, and I think it gives the page a very soft look. I really love this color combination. I think I would like to use this combination for another design in the future, so I'm just gonna make a mental note to remember this color combination. These spaces are a great size as they're slightly smaller than the previous one, but still a bit larger than the first layout that we've seen. This type of layout, I think, gives you enough space to list everything, but not overcrowded with too many things. Moving on to the next spread, which is also a weekly layout, and it's the last of the weekly layouts for this month. I'm making a design in the middle of the double page so that I have space on either side of the design to use for my daily planning. This background, I wanted to use a slightly different color, so I picked this light indigo color from Faber Castell. I think it has this grayish blue color, and it brings a different look to this page compared to the previous ones. And I think the color feels a bit more sober, but still looks beautiful nonetheless. So I have 8 boxes on either side of the design, which can be used for a week with an extra space for notes and miscellaneous stuff that I might like to add, or just use it for memory keeping or anything like that. The next spread is what I call activity track. This, I think, is one of my favorite spreads in my journal, and it has been so helpful for me. I picked this idea from Jashi Curran's videos. I love her videos where she compiles ideas to include in your journals, and I started using this particular one from 2024. I've never looked back since. I really like it because it helps me to see how much time I take to complete a certain task, and also how many things I have done in that particular month. I think knowing how much time you take for a particular type of task helps you to plan things better for the next time. And I think it also serves as a reminder of how much you have done, and it feels good to go back and take a look at it, especially on days when you feel like you have not been doing anything. I'm using white and pink for this spread, so I've gone back to using white blossoms, but I still wanted to keep pink in this page, so I'm using pink as a background color, and I really love how vibrant it looks. So that's my activity tracker for the month. Now for the last spread for the month is the reflections page or monthly reflections page. I usually add very little design to this page because I want to keep more space to write, but I felt like I couldn't get enough of this theme because I loved it so much. So I decided to put in a little more of it in this page while still keeping enough space to write down my reflections for the month. And I went back to the same color palette I used for the cover page because I felt that it would tie it all together very well. I think I picked up this habit of connecting the beginning and the end from school, back when we used to learn how to write composition and we used to do these exercises. And I think very unconsciously, I've transferred that skill to like other things that I do as well. So I always need, the connection between the beginning and the end. So I think that's why I wanted to sort of use the same thing that I did for the beginning. And I think it all comes together really well. I think this color scheme reminds me of this particular church in Pondicherry. It's called the Lady of Angels Church. So on the outside, the church is pink, but on the inside, it has these pastel blue and pink tones with white and gold accents, and it looks so beautiful. I'm really pleasantly surprised how my mind worked that way and sort of, brought that also into my journal, because Pondicherry is a very, very special place for me. I'm really so pleased with how this page has turned out. Alright, that is my monthly reflections page. Before we end the video, I'm going to do a flip through and take you through all the pages I've done once again. Cherry blossoms really bring back such fond memories with my loved ones, and making these spreads for this month brought me so much joy and took me back, and I hope you also like them as much as I like them. I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Do like, share and comment below and let me know your thoughts on this setup and what you'd like to see in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can see more such content. Thank you.